Good afternoon and very warm welcome, and I mean that literally. A very warm welcome to everyone. It always delights me when you take the time to actually show up at the meditation museums, because I think our intentions are very clear as to what we do and how we actually offer things. This is working? Yeah. As you know, for the last 8 years, we've been experimenting with this idea of a meditation museum, and it's been incredible to witness the quality of work that emerges from the space. And I've often shared with my friends, and I might even sound like a broken record, that I don't care how many times I walk in here, and I see different stages here. I come in the mornings at 6 for the advanced students, where we conduct a class called the Murli. And then I have breakfast here, that's another scene. And then I have my meetings here, that's another scene. And then we have gatherings, that's another scene. And then when there's nobody here, there are no chairs or nothing here, it's just a space, that's another scene. And then there's only silence. And so there's so many variety of scenes that I witness in this space, and it always touches my heart very deeply. So I want to thank you for joining us for today's workshop, which is about being in the now, and I think we're going to get it on the screen shortly. And being present, because in a time where things are running so fast, we tend to try to keep up with the pace, but do we really have to keep up with the pace, or do we as the masters have to slow down the pace? What do you think? Do you have to keep up with the pace? Or do you have to be the master to slow down the pace? Which one do you think you'd rather live from? The latter one, right? I know. And I think for some of us, I'm remembering the days of my grandmother. We used to sit together. I remember it so clearly. I was 12 or 13. We would sit in her little sitting area in her room. There were only 8 channels. I guess that's revealing the age. There was like only 8 channels. And what was interesting was we just sat there and we were fine watching whatever we were given. Now, not only do we have much more than 8 channels, we also have something called a smartphone with lots of other channels and options, and it can take us away from ourselves. And if situations hit you strong enough, where you reach a point where it's just like striking and you just can't manage it anymore, then that fear mode comes in and you try to feel like you have to keep up with what's going on because I see it on the palm of my hands, it's here, you have to do this or else we're going to be in trouble. So there are some factors to weigh in, and as we gather together, I think it's my pure wish that you just keep yourself settled. I'd really like to request that you refrain from a lot of distracting noises, like bags or drinks. I'd really request that you also turn off your cell phones or silence your cell phones, more preferably. And I don't know if you are aware of it, but we're also we're live streaming this particular conversation as well. So you can take another minute to tell your friends you're at the Meditation Museum and they're live streaming it, so that they can capture some of the wealth of wisdom that we offer here. So I'll give you a minute to settle in and to get comfortable, and to honor the space that you're in, and to honor the person who has taken the energy to come out to be here today. That my life just doesn't revolve just around me and what I wish to do, but there are people in the room that I also wish to honor their vibrations and their energy as well. So we are here today about an article I wrote for the Huffington Post. Brother David, who is one of our main brothers in the BK Center, he felt it was really interesting for me to share some of the conversations of some of the articles that I've written. For those of you who have been traveling with me on the journey, you know that I write for a number of papers, Thrive Global, Huffington Post, and a few other outlets.
Is the link on the website?
I believe so. I think it's on the website. And so feel free again, tell your friends we're live, right, Santosh? Right? And you've shared it and everything? You're sharing it and everything? Cool. You're so awesome. We only ask you that because everything we do is for free. And you might not be aware of this, but we run on everybody's little wishes of just, pennies. And so if we don't, generate a lot of revenue, that's not important, but at least let's generate a lot of lives being uplifted, and that becomes important. So that's why we are trying to catch up to the times, not to stress ourselves out, but to expand the good that we definitely know is needed in our world. So, I hope you know who I am.
Yes.
I'm your speaker. I don't know, because I noticed we didn't share the video. So I'm Sister Jenna, and I have a chance to share with you some ideas and thoughts that continue to swim through my consciousness, but also the philosophy of the Brahma Kumaris teachings. The Brahma Kumaris isn't a religion, it's a way of life. It's a spirituality. It's trying to challenge us to think a little bit higher and to become better. And I think if we can ever find spaces or people that can inspire us to do that, then we should spend more time with them, right? So what I'd like you to do is start with just one thing at a time, okay? Because when we're looking at trying to reframe the way that I'm interpreting my life or reframing the way that I'm living my life, it's important that we just, bless you, we just start with one thing at a time. And what I'd like you to do is to ask your mind and yourself the question, where am I right now? And just think about it. It doesn't have to be verbally expressed. But from your mind, just think, where am I right now?
Physically, mentally, or
Just quietly in your mind, just where am I right now? Like, where am I? What is around you? Feel free to look around the space and see what's supporting your vibration. See what you have attracted around you. Why did you choose that seat to sit in? It's comfortable. It's the exit door. It's in the middle. I can see better. It's more cozier. Just look around you. The little Buddha, the beautiful orchid hanging over his head, the beautiful sunflowers, the 8 powers. Look at what you are surrounded by. Interesting, right? When you really slow down and take a look at where you have put your energy, right? How does it make you feel when you look at these images? See, I just want you to practice just slowing down a little bit. Where are you? What is around you? How does it make you feel? And just that simple practice alone helps us to become very present. And that's what we don't do all the time because we're moving so fast. And even our eyes are constantly like, yeah, I saw the room. We want to go on to another thing, right? But today you're like, I see the room, I see the plant, I see the speaker, I see the stage, I see the pictures, I see. One of the biggest practices that we teach in the Raja Yoga meditation is how to be a detached observer, how to be a witness to your own life. And there are times that if you watch your life, you tend to find it very easy to watch the lives of other people and forget watching your own. Have you ever seen that? And so in the same way in which you watch the life of one person or 2 or 10, can you redirect your eyes to kind of subtly watching your own self and to see how you are moving and what is actually moving you? So the stage of a detached observer is the stage of the witness. So you're basically pretending like you're in the 10th row of an audience. Now look at yourself. Wow. Doesn't that feel different? You're sitting in the 10th row and you're watching yourself on the screen. You're looking at the way that you're sitting in the chair, the way that you're looking at the subject, what you have dressed, how your hair is combed, how the lighting is, what's moving on and going on around you. You're in the 10th row of the audience and you can see everything now. Try that in practice, please. And see how it makes your mind expand. Go in your 10th row, look on the screen, and watch everything that you are right now. And if you feel like any adjustments need to be made, you can put a big smile on your face, you can yawn, you can stretch, because you're watching yourself behave and you're watching your mannerisms. Cool, right? I find that the most fascinating practice I always do. So that's the stage of the detached observer. And if you can practice that over and over again, it will help you to become more aware of your thoughts, words, and actions. The more you practice the stage of a detached observer, it teaches us how to become more aware. And when we're aware, we're more awake. When you're more awake, you can catch things easier than if you're unconscious or sleeping. So, as many moments as you can in a day, I'm inviting you to capture this practice of a detached observer state. Whenever you can, you go running in that 10th row of the theater and watch what you're up to, especially when you're at work dealing with your colleagues, especially when you wake up and your spouse is not very cooperative, especially when your teenager forgets that you pay the bills, and especially when maybe your partner no longer values you the way that they used to at the beginning. Just step back a little bit. Like, what's happening here for me? And observe what your role is in that scene. Not what their role is, because you can't control their role. But what is my role in this scene right now? Instead of thinking about all the things that you have to do, it's encouraged that you begin to practice to more observe how you're feeling as you're acting. How am I feeling as I'm engaging in action? How do you feel when you comb your hair? Do you feel pretty? Do you feel like you need a haircut? Are you bored of shaving every day? You have to shave every day. And if you don't shave, you have 1 or 2 day old beards, so you look crabby, right? So think about it. How do you feel when you have to perform an action that your spirit feels like, I don't really want to do this today? You've had those days, right? I know, I hate those. But they do come. They're just those days where sometimes even you just don't even want to get out of the bed. Or they're just some times when you just don't want to see that same person that you see every day. Or there are times you just don't want to be in the same apartment or house that you're in every day. You just want something different. So what actually takes place is that it's imperative for us to keep checking how I'm feeling. How I'm feeling when I'm in the midst of doing. Very imperative. Because it is important for us to emerge the feelings that we need to have. Feelings like peace and love and power and wisdom in the moments, especially in those times when I really don't feel inspired. I have to check, is there a feeling that I can emerge? Because I have to do that. I have to go to work. I have to deal with that colleague. I have to face my spouse. I have to deal with my in-law. Where can I go inside of myself to at least have a feeling despite what I have to do, which I don't feel I want to do? You understand? So this is why it's really important for us to understand that we're in charge of our own feelings. And if we consider it's an external thing that's in charge of our feelings, then we're going to feel very unsettled inside. So there's a saying that once Daddy Janki used to remind us, and Daddy Janki is 102 years old, and she runs the Brahma Kumaris, 4 feet 11 inches, cutest and most adorable person in the universe. She always reminds us to not get attached to things or people. She always says, be careful you do not get attached to things or people, but rather that it is essential that you remember the power of your mind. Its role is to keep flowing, to keep giving a pure feeling, a peaceful feeling, a powerful feeling. And whenever we get pulled into a person or an object, you will experience your own mind becoming less, like limited, more closed. Have you ever had a friend and you thought to yourself, they're so close-minded? Or you might wonder to a friend, you go, how in the world could that person have done what they just did? So it's like if your thinking and your attitude is so focused on an expectation from a human being, then your mind is no longer in the mode of feeling your pure original nature. You're more trying to, you're now picking up the vibe from what you're feeling from the other person or even the object outside of you. You're energy, I'm energy. If I get upset and you tune into me, you're going to feel my upset. If you're upset and I tune into you, I'm going to feel that you're upset. But if I'm in my place of good feelings and you're upset or angry, I can't be bothered because I'm already in a good place. I'm not living off of your vibration. You got it? So I'm living off of what I'm choosing to co-create in my own consciousness. And that's where Professor Joseph Campbell is such a beautiful, beautiful soul. I know he's moved on and transitioned. He once said in one of his interviews with Bill Moyers, if everyone took care of themselves, no one has to worry about anyone. And it's because we have moved away from self-care that we are really, without us even knowing, we're imposing so much on others to be something for us, which we're not. And so relationships have a lot of strain on each other. There's a big strain between couples nowadays. So I know we've heard this time and time again about the importance of letting go and letting God in. But today I hope I'm going to bring some light to something in addition to your interpretation of God. I want you to think about God not just as a religion, or even as a prophet, or as some fundamental dogma or belief, but have you ever thought of God as a quality of feeling? Just sit with that for a little bit. And what if the whole world thought of this energy of God as a quality, a pure feeling? Would there be wars? Would there be conflicts? Would there be divides? Would there be fear? Just sit with it for a little. Now I'd like you to practice imagining yourself filled with God's qualities: loving, pure, peaceful, benevolent, wise, gentle, constant. And I'd like you to turn that energy to somebody who is very difficult in your life. I want you to bring those feelings in front of that person with your mind. Shall we try it? Okay, ready? So you go inwards and you command and demand lovingly and gently that you're now going to become an embodiment of these divine qualities. Whether it's love or purity or peace. And with that feeling, direct it to the person that is your greatest challenge in life right now. And look at them from that place of feelings. So we can end all conflict if we want to. Isn't that incredible? And if you struggled with when you turn to that person in your mind to convey that feelings of love, it goes to show to all of us that when we really reduce our godliness inside and we don't let go of these hurt feelings, how much it takes away from the spirit. How much it makes us dense, heavier, uninspired, very human. So by removing our thoughts from people and things, we begin to cultivate real, original, substantial feelings. Real, original, substantial feelings. And it becomes a catalyst to moving matter and life forward. Can you imagine every time you speak to that person that you're having a challenging relationship with from your godly place, it's almost as if that person's issues will no longer be in front of you. So you're moving life forward. And you find that you're stuck is when you can't give love to a negative situation. When you can't give love to a negative situation, you feel stuck. Right? So you can see everything is so based on your quality of thinking, your way of thinking, and your way of feeling in action. So God is a quality, and I would love for everyone to keep remembering that. I know growing up as half Hindu and half Roman Catholic, it was interesting for me to always see the difference in how my parents would come home. And I used to wonder why they were so different. My mother would come in from church and my dad would come in from the temple, and both had a different experience from that religious place or spiritual place. And it was from a child I came to the foregone conclusion God was an interpretation. That no religion was the right religion. It's an interpretation. Because these two are from two different sides of the tracks. And they created a child, and they lived in the same house, and this child watched both of them come home with two different experiences, each one thinking their way of path to be sustained was right. And then I thought, God is an experience, and God is a quality. So if you can you can hold on to your Christian tradition, you can hold on to your Buddhist tradition, you can go hold on to your Hindu tradition or your Catholic tradition. However, just keep adding into your tradition the quality of God in it. And then you find that you don't have to prove your religion, but your behavior of qualities will reveal how beautiful your religion is to the world. Do you understand? Does that make sense? So God is a quality, and so the more I release attachment or control to people and things, I'm able to let God, the quality of God, in. So when we say let go and let God in, let go of that negative vibe I'm feeling with this person and let me let God in. So what is God now in? God is a quality, right? So what quality does this relationship need? Or what quality do I need to bring about a transformation in this relationship? Does that make sense to you? Yeah, helpful? Simple, right? So when qualities of love and peace and purity and joy enter into our consciousness, we are very present. When the qualities of love and peace and purity enter our consciousness, we are very present. Now, Santosh, is there a chance for us to play? I guess you're here, so I won't request you. No, it's okay. I want you to emerge one of your favorite happy songs and play that song in your mind just for a little. And then begin to look around the room. You can see, oh, the rain is starting. Oh, that's wonderful. I hope all the cars are going to be okay. Oh, Lord, I hope I don't have to take the bus back. You know, and then you just look around and feel how even the museum is becoming a little bit more quiet because of your presence. You're bringing a very nice feeling into the museum. And so if the feelings are of love and joy and happiness, you've just created heaven on earth. You've just made wherever you are a heavenly experience. So in this stage is when you can start to really practice to breathe. When you're in a good place, we tend to breathe when we're stressed. Okay, calm down, breathe. And we think like that's when we're supposed to breathe. Yes, but I want you to practice breathing when you're in a good state too. Like, I feel good. And try how that feels when you breathe in and out very deeply, when you have created a positive, good place for you. This is a good moment. I am creating more good moments. And even observe how your breath feels even clearer when you're breathing from a positive state, from a more joyous state. I can feel it. It's as if you're expanding the positivity and you're becoming more present. Now, the next time you find yourself in a stressed out state and you start breathing, see how your breathing is a little different. Just breathe, just relax. It's different, but it still helps. But I want you to also learn to breathe when you're in a positive state. Okay? I think it's really important. So observe how qualities will thrive when your mind is calm. Observe how your qualities, go back to what quality is. Observe how qualities will thrive. They will just start to come up in you naturally when you're calm and when you're at peace with yourself. It just starts to surface. So a lot of people think to come back to your spiritual power, your self-realization, or your mode of empowerment, you got to do a lot of work, but you don't. You simply just have to calm down, and it'll surface. And I hope that's a hopeful mantra for you today, you know? So why being present is our call, especially the call of our time? Because the external world is moving so fast, and we can now realize that thoughts are going very, very fast. So if thoughts are going very, very, very fast, that means the physical world is moving fast, because the world is governed by our thinking. So if I'm under the influence of the physical world of matter, then this is just how I'm going to be all the time. And that's all because there's just a culture of individuals who are just no longer present. So when we are present, we come from a place of qualities. Remember to underline qualities. And we become the master of the outside. When your interior world has a nice feeling, you command a room. You command a relationship. You command a situation, and not out of force. You're commanding the situation because the vibration of qualities coming from you is calming down the viciousness or the intensity of the external. Isn't that amazing? Wouldn't you love to be like that? You stand in front of your spouse and you're like, honey? And he's like, no, honey, honey, honey. I know, honey. But you're really in your power. And something inside of him will feel that and will be like, I don't want to talk about it today. And you're like, it's working. And what happens is that you're feeling better because you can feel your power is coming back to you. You see? So this never really is about another person. This is always going to be about the way you choose to feel. Our vibrations of quality will slow down the way we interpret our lives and the lives of others around us. So that vibration of letting go and letting God in, those vibrations, those qualities, it will become a very new interpretation for you. And I really invite you to practice that more and more. So choose to be in healthy environments. It will help us to value being more present. When you're in a healthy environment, you feel more comfortable. Of course, I always tell folks, come into the meditation museums. You will feel better. Even if you're passing by and heading home and you just stop 10 minutes. I guarantee you, you come in and you leave in 10 minutes, you're going to feel different. It's a completely different energy and vibration. Listening to positive music, I advocate that very strongly. Positive talks, watching positive television. I'm not saying that you shouldn't watch scary movies, but I really don't support scary movies. I think they're just a waste of energy. and consciousness. I know sometimes you get scared or jarred in a movie, but just don't get into the habit of really focusing too much on scary or very violent movies, because they will affect your interior environment. And if your interior environment is violent, that means sometimes when you go to certain areas, you bring the vibration of that violence without even knowing. Right? So just to be mindful. Always stay in good company, people who are going places, people who value virtues and value being kind to one another. Be very selective with individuals who aren't necessarily negative disruptors of a pure environment. But you want to be around disruptors who have a peaceful, pure way about them. And you don't mind if the peaceful, pure people disrupt a negative environment to make it pure. I hope you hear what I'm saying here. Because you've got some people who can really walk into a very charged environment and they just really make it better. You know, but you wonder, what are you doing in that marriage? And then you'd be like, because I love him or I love her. And I know that I'm good for them. It depends on you. It depends on where you're at. But if it's draining you and if it's disturbing your peace, it's not a good environment. You understand what I'm saying? So we can be disruptors in relationships, but try to check that if you're disrupting something, it can be something negative that you're transforming into something positive. When you feel safe, you're very much more open to be very present. It's when you don't feel safe, you're always thinking of an exit plan. You're always thinking of a way out. You're always thinking of an option because you don't feel safe. Isn't that amazing? And so what I need to do to create a safe environment is to keep practicing these thoughts of qualities so that my qualities protect me wherever I go. And then if I happen to be in a space like this, I can feel comfortable, I can feel secure, I can be myself. Majority of us actually want to be ourselves, and that's predominantly a very good person. But because we come in front of vibrations of individuals that are struggling with their virtues, we become on guard. We're defensive. And we're never really our beautiful self in front of people, because we're constantly feeling like we're defending ourselves, like we have to protect ourselves. We have to protect our vibrations from this person. We have to protect our love from this person. So we haven't really offered the best of ourselves yet in relationships. It's quite interesting. And so here in the museum, we're inviting you to begin to sense the feeling of safety. I was at my friend's home on Fisher Island in Florida last week, and you can't get to us unless you get on the ferry. So the doors are open, and Sister Gita's locking up every door with padlock chains and everything, because we're from the city. And I'm like, you don't have to lock it up. Who's going to come in? Iguanas. Let them come. Let the iguanas come. It's okay. But the whole thing is that I'm on an island. The only one that's going to bother me are the other people on the island. And there are cameras everywhere on the island. I'm feeling very safe right now. I'm not worried. The only thing that I would be bothered by is a hurricane tsunami. But apart from that, I'm fine, you know? And so when you enter an environment where you can be safe, can I please urge you, open up more and more, that you can feel what it's like to be an open vessel, ready to let God's qualities in you. Because sometimes when you go home, the tension is there. You don't always have it. All right, so it's a journey. We're all travelers, and there are many other travelers with us along the way. There are a lot of objects, distractions, clothes, dress, cars, money, bills, possessions, situations, circumstances, objects. You know, they tend to take us in a variety of different directions. But don't get trapped, because we can get trapped. Because one of the most interesting things about the soul is that it needs to feel like it's existing. So what we have gotten accustomed to is to use a physical gadget to stimulate a feeling inside the spirit. Whether it's a human being, whether it's the way we dress, whether it's the way we comb our hair, the way we fix our faces, the way we choose our cars, our homes, the way we decorate our places, the people that we decide to go to talk to, the relationships that we get into, is because I need to feel like I'm alive. And you feel alive when there are qualities in you. That's why a lot of times we enter into relationships which first start out with what we say is love, and then it changes from love to maybe lust, and then from lust to attachment, then from attachment to anger, and then from anger to ego. Then it becomes very hard to get out of that emotional bond. Do you understand? And so that's why if you really want to feel alive and you really want to feel like you've got that energy in you, then connect more to the source of those good qualities. Let your mind be calm so that these qualities can thrive from within you. So check that you don't get trapped, because you are the master of your destiny, not another person. And if you find that you've given your power over to another human being, please accept that you're not really happy. Because that means you're dependent on how that human being treats you, or if the human being is present, because then now you're setting yourself up. So if you happen to be in a relationship like that, take your time, as many moments as you can, keep remembering like, hey, I am the master of what I want to feel, right? And then try to practice how to bring and cultivate these qualities into that relationship, where you start to realize, I don't need to depend on this relationship for my bliss anymore. But we can grow together in this relationship. We're very, very firm believers of growing together in our relationships here. Very, very strong at that. Because each one of us come with a specific gift and a specific talent. And so it would be beautiful for us to be able to cultivate that more and more. Thank you. Keep staying in touch. Join us on our journey. Feel free to stay in your zone of connectivity. These are thoughts and ideas that have been explored and experimented and lived. No one that comes up here and speaks and shares with you is reading out of a text or a book. And that's why we don't have a speech ready to ever tell you when we sit on the stage. But we are going through the emotions and the processes of the journey, and as a result, from a theory, it's becoming a real practical experience. That this is really the reality of how I'm feeling as a result of this practice. So in essence, practice being a detached observer. Let go, let God in, breathe, stay in healthy environments, and at the beginning of the conversation, choose with one thing at a time. Keep asking yourself, what's around me? Where am I? How am I feeling? What's in the room? What's the feeling I'm getting in this relationship, in this connection? And it should go back to a quality. If you don't return to a quality, then that's where you really need to optimize your effort. Okay? Because we don't want to get used to feeling angry, desireful, greedy, discontented, jealous, critical. We don't want to get into this habit of gossiping, complaining, judging one another, because that becomes the norm now. Okay? So what we'd like you to do is to cultivate a community within your own thinking, to develop the new norm is to be a person filled with these divine qualities. That if you go against it, you immediately know this is not right. This is just not right for me. It is not right. You know, I've had friends from various religious backgrounds, every religious background. I've had friends from various economical background, right? I've had friends from various cultures and race and intelligence. And I remembered once having a conversation when I was about 27, and one of my friends was reminding me about, you know, even in religion, look at how people treat each other so so mean and there's so many wars in the name of religion. And I remembered so clearly saying, but it's not the religion that's the problem. It's the interpretation of the person in the religion. And I went further to have a discussion that I can sometimes still say I'm Christian or I'm Muslim, and I could still maybe do something very negative, right? I could hit somebody and go, but my tradition says women are supposed to be in the front or in the back or what have you. And I could slap you and still go to bed and go, I'm Christian, or I'm Muslim, or I'm Jewish, I'm Hindu. What's your problem, right? But if I hold on to the religion of equality, and I go, I'm loving and I'm pure and I'm peaceful, if I go against that feeling, I can say to myself instantly, I wasn't true to my religion. Do you see the difference? So once you allow the quality to become your religion, then you can really feel very safe in knowing that you will definitely be mindful in how you gauge your behavior and the way that you show up for yourself and others. So whatever is your tradition, then you represent it very beautifully. Okay? All right. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask before we close with meditation?
Two questions. One is to talk more about going with the other people in the community. And the other one is, I do remember the DVD of the event in Shivani.
What about if we have a DVD? If you go onto the YouTube link for Meditation Museum, you'll see the video. But we don't have a DVD. Yeah. And when you go along with everyone, I mean, we're in a collective karmic atmosphere, I think you can decide as to how far you want to go along with everyone. You're still your own master. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not about the physical possession that's making me feel better or even the company. It is about me choosing how to experience my own divinity from the inside. I've been with the worst of people and the best of people. It doesn't change me. Really. I mean, I'm a pure vegetarian, apart from Antonia, who's vegan. And she makes it a hierarchical process because she's with us and she goes, but I'm vegan. And I'm like, I'm lactose intolerant, so it doesn't even matter for me, right? But I've been with folks that are sitting on my left that are drinking whatever scotch or having steak, and somebody on my right is having fish and wine. And I have my salad and my Perrier with lemon, and I'm fine. And I've observed, because of them watching that they've become a little bit more mindful that maybe if I want to protect the environment, I should maybe stop eating meat. I've met with a lot of environmentalists who speak about climate change and helping the planet, and they're still eating and indulging in meat. And I know that eating meat is just a habit. Actually, our system is not designed to digest meat, which is why it takes approximately 7 years to completely digest a meal of steak. And so I think when we gain enough knowledge, knowledge is power, right? So when I gain enough knowledge, my knowledge starts to give me a little bit more strength and courage, because I used to eat pork, meat, fish, chicken. I'm Jamaican. We ate meat. Jamaicans eat meat. I just want you to know that, okay? And it's good meat. From goat to ox to this to that. And so what made me change wasn't necessarily that I knew eating vegetarian was better. Actually, I changed because I had a very deep divine experience. Now, I can't say that if you don't have a divine experience that you can make that call, but that wasn't my narrative. But there's some people who actually have reduced eating meat as a result of saying, okay, let me meet you halfway. All right, I'm going to try to help the planet 2 days a week. How's that? And then the other days it's on me. So I think any contribution that you make consciously helps towards your divinity. Does that make sense? There was a story in China about the meat consumption of dogs have become very high. And as you all know, we have little Happy here. And I just oh my gosh, I'm just so glad, Happy, you're not in China. Because I would just hate for them to have you for supper, And so it's just a matter of consciousness. I think once you know, Once you have an awareness, then you can have a conscious choice. Okay? So again, maybe your lifestyle will influence others. I don't know. But what I do know is I'm not going to support that for my karmic world. And maybe it might inspire someone to do the same one day. Right? I was talking to my friend from London before coming in the door, and he said, Sister Jenti, who's the international director of the Brahma Kumaris, she says, my contribution to a better world is my peaceful ways that I act and move around. And she says, if I can just walk around peacefully and think peacefully and speak peacefully, I'm very, very, very sure I'm making the world into a better place. Sister Jenti. So that's simple. Some of us want to change the world by going out there and uplifting 1 billion people. Just start with yourself and you have changed the world. So when I change, the world will change. Right? Good. All right, so thank you so much for joining. One more question?
Yes, my question is, how does one go about getting a one-on-one counseling session with you for a more refined team?
Sure.
Yes.
Just talk to our boss, Antonia. And we'd be happy to do that, by the way. When you're really interested to go deeper into your spirituality, we are available. Most definitely. We'll never turn anyone back. Yeah? Okay. Any other thoughts before we close with the meditation?
Within. And connect with the deepest part of yourself, the soul, the still, silent core of your being, whose essence is peace. The third step is to turn the mind upward and beyond and connect with the eternal, immeasurable, infinite source of beautiful, sweet peace. We start at the physical level. Check that your body is balanced and you're sitting comfortably, and then gently allow yourself to let go, to disconnect from everything that is around you in the everyday material world. What you see, what you hear, what you feel, let it be, and let yourself detach. And as you do this, you find yourself naturally oriented to an inner space. Turn the mind within and allow yourself to feel and connect with that subtle point of light that is the self, the soul. I, the soul, am deeply peaceful. I am essentially still, quiet, and silent. I allow myself to feel this essence, this core of my own soul. This is what it's like to be me. Peaceful, quiet, tranquil, serene. I am steady in this state, and so I move my mind upwards and beyond. Letting everything to do with the here and now merge, and I shift into a broader, more universal space. It is a world of light beyond the universe, and there I encounter the source, the beautiful point of infinitesimal light, yet infinite peace, an ocean merged in a point. I am focused, I am connected, and from that point the waves of deep peace wash gently over me. And I am filled with that power of silence, that extraordinary feeling of total peace. It fills me completely. It overflows and extends into the vast distance. I become like a conduit. The peace flows into me from that tiny point and becomes a huge ocean of pure, peaceful feelings that I can direct so that it encompasses the whole world. And the whole world can feel that subtle, beautiful, and sweet peace that it craves so deeply. I hold this state for a while. Totally focused. And then gently I withdraw myself back into my essence, back into the day-to-day world, but still that peace is with me, spreading like an atmosphere around me.